And welcome everybody to another edition of the PTZ, the Political Twilight Zone. And boy, we are in it now. We're in the middle of a election cycle, and none like we've ever seen before because everything has been turned upside down from the COVID scare. But with me is Morgan Brittany.
Hi. It's good to be back in this crazy zone.
It is, and I hear it's really, really hot out there in California.
Yeah, it is. It's actually 106 here today at my place. And it has been for the past 3 days between like 104, 106. And there's a lot of fires going on, and you know how that is for me because I'm out in fire country, rural areas, so I'm worried about it all the time.
I can understand. I understand they've been having a lot of rolling blackouts out there as well.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, of course, the brilliant leadership of our governor, he decided, I guess, to get rid of a lot of the natural gas in California, and now we're, of course, stressed to the limit on electricity, and so they're doing rolling blackouts all across the state, and it's just, it's just pain after pain after pain. I mean, how much can the people take? I don't know. Right.
How they're using green energy? How are they rolling blackouts? I thought that was supposed to be the wave of the future and solve everything.
No, it doesn't work. I mean, if you drive out toward Palm Springs area and you go out that way, you'll see those wind farms that just stretch for miles and miles and miles. When I go out there, which I do on occasion, I'll notice that they're either not working or there's equipment out there trying to put new blades on. They're killing birds by the dozens because when they migrate, they run right into the blades. It doesn't work. I don't know what they're trying to do. And then they have huge solar panels out in the desert, but it takes thousands and thousands of them just to provide enough power to a small area. So they're just not thinking this through. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think it's more about power than anything else, controlling everything that you do.
It is.
Well, I wanted to start with our main topic to start with this evening is a post that you put on Facebook called "The Torturing of America." And I wanted you to expand on that a little bit because I think it's very important to talk about that.
Well, if you really think about it, and you think about what they're doing and what they have done, in my opinion, I know the COVID-19 virus is real. I know that it came out of China for whatever reason, which we really don't know. But yes, it was spread across the world. But I don't think it's as bad as they thought that it was going to be. Now, that may sound a little weird, but I think they were anticipating millions of people dying and this huge catastrophe, and just, it would be back to like the Middle Ages where people were dropping dead in the street. And it didn't happen. It basically turned out to be a really bad case of the flu, and it hit certain age groups and certain people a lot harder with the help of some of the governors who put infected people into these places where the vulnerable were. Now, I know, living in California, that a lot of people are having extreme anxiety over everything that's happened because they basically told us, we're going to shut down for 2 weeks, we're going to flatten the curve, and then everything slowly will get back. That was the plan, and that's what everybody, they were absolutely willing to do whatever it took to do that. And the people were very good about it. After 2 weeks, things were pretty good. And so they said, all right, well, we're going to give it another 2 weeks, but we're going to open in May, whatever it was they did, May 1st. They had a date. At that point, they opened, and people went back to restaurants. People went back, with a little bit of the social distancing, but everything was getting back to normal. Well, there wasn't enough anxiety for these people in power. So they decided they were going to pull back, and they were going to make it more difficult for us. So they shut everything back down again. And people at this point were losing their businesses. Their kids weren't getting educated the right way because they weren't being able to go to school. Weddings were canceled. Funerals, people couldn't go to funerals. People couldn't go to Easter Sunday or holidays and visit their relatives in nursing homes. It was a mental torture that they were putting everyone through. And they continue to bash you through the media that if you go out of the house, you're going to die. If you don't wear a mask, you're going to die. You're going to kill your grandmother. You're going to kill other people if you don't do this. I mean, every single day here, people are living in constant fear that, that something's going to happen to them. And instead of being, instead of being positive about it, yes, we're going to try everything we can. Hydroxychloroquine seemed to be something that people should have been able to try. If it worked, if people were willing and their doctors were willing and they were healthy enough, why not? No, they pulled all that away. No, you can't do that. It's not safe. It's not this. And it's been out there for 60 years, 70 years, whatever. They just want to control people so much. It's like being waterboarded until you finally just give up and say, what do I have to do to make this stop? And that's where people are at this point. They open the beaches, they close the beaches. They open the parks, they close the parks. Look at the woman in, Michigan? I mean, you can't go to a store and buy this. You can't do that. It's mental torture to people. And it's not right. And I don't see an end to it. I see them continuing this. Here we are almost into September. And they're telling us there's more cases than ever. We're doing everything they ask. We're wearing masks. We're social distancing. We're not being able to eat inside restaurants. Still, it's not enough. And they keep saying there's more deaths, there's more this, there's more that, when it isn't even true. So, I don't know how, unless we all just say, this is ridiculous, we're not doing this anymore, which there are people who are doing that. But I feel like I'm being tortured by these people.
Yeah, and it's all political now. This is it serves several purposes for the left. Number one, they're going to try to depress people from voting because they're scared to go out of the house to vote. Then, of course, that leads right into which we'll talk about more in a few minutes, the mail-in voting, which is a great opportunity for them to cheat. So, it checks all the boxes on a lot of stuff that the left has been trying to do. I mean, I think Trump's still going to win. I don't think it'll be successful, but this is probably the closest they've come to dismantling his train, so to speak, that they've come so far.
You know something, John? And the other thing, too, is when it did start to level off and things did look like they were going to reopen, and the reports came out that everything was coming back, and the unemployment numbers were going down, and people were starting to go back to work. What did they start doing? Then it was violence in the streets. Right. Then it was the George Floyd thing. Now they're protesting, they're burning things down, they're looting. People are now afraid and being tortured not to leave their homes because now not only are they going to die from the virus, but somebody's going to kill them. I mean, You're right. This is what they're doing for a political gain.
Right.
And it's cruel.
Yep. The other night, I think it was night 2. I can't remember which night it was. We're still, this is the final night of the DNC convention is tonight. They had the DNC put this young lady on who lost her father to the coronavirus, and it was a tirade against President Trump, how her father's death was all Trump's fault. I'm going to play this real quick.
Hi, I'm Kristen Urquiza. I'm one of the many who has lost a loved one to COVID. My dad, Mark Anthony Urquiza, should be here today, but he isn't. He had faith in Donald Trump. He voted for him, listened to him, believed him and his mouthpieces when they said that coronavirus was under control and going to disappear, that it was okay to end social distancing rules before it was safe, and that if you had no underlying health conditions, you'd probably be fine. So in late May, after the stay-at-home order was lifted in Arizona, my dad went to a karaoke bar with his friends. A few weeks later, he was put on a ventilator, and after 5 agonizing days, he died alone in the ICU with a nurse holding his hand. My dad was a healthy 65-year-old. His only pre-existing condition was trusting Donald Trump, and for that, he paid with his life. I am not alone. Once I told my story, a lot of people reached out to me to share theirs. They asked me to help them keep their communities safe, especially communities of color, which have been disproportionately affected. They asked me, a normal person, to help because Donald Trump won't. The coronavirus has made it clear that there are 2 Americas. The America that Donald Trump lives in, and the America that my father died in. Enough is enough. Donald Trump may not have caused the coronavirus, but his dishonesty and his irresponsible actions made it so much worse. We need a leader who has a national, coordinated, data-driven response to stop this pandemic from claiming more lives and to safely reopen the country. We need a leader who will step in on day 1 and do his job, to care. One of the last things that my father said to me was that he felt betrayed by the likes of Donald Trump. And so when I cast my vote for Joe Biden, I will do it for my dad.
That is despicable.
Yes, John, took the words right out of my mouth. I swear to you, these people are just, you can't even describe how horrible they are. And probably using this girl, or she wants, I don't know what she wants to get out of it. But if Donald Trump didn't kill anybody, if anything, he saved people when he shut down the travel from China. He took hydroxychloroquine himself in order to see if it worked. And yet, at every stance, they tried to shut him down on every single thing he tried to do. I mean, this, to me, is beyond the pale.
Yep.
I have no respect for these people at all. I know you have spent a lot of time watching this convention. I can't stomach it. I can't stomach these people. I know many of them are misguided. They're probably not bad people. But the people that put all of this out there, it's criminal what they're doing. It really is. And it's very, very sad.
Yep, and of course, you hear the audio on that. When I was watching it, the one thing I noticed was that this girl's eyes kept shifting because it was obvious she was reading a prepared speech.
Yeah.
I don't know if she wrote it or if the Democrats wrote it for her, but it was not. It was not spontaneous, not from the heart. Correct.
Yep.
Because and the little phrase, the only pre-existing condition my dad had was trusting Donald Trump. That had to be that. There's no way she could have written that.
No, of course not. Of course not.
She is just.
And you know something. Here's where these people really, really show how despicable they are. I'm sorry, I don't agree with Joe Biden. A lot of the things that he's done, I've never been a fan. But what they're doing to this man is so wrong and so really despicable, what they're doing to him. Mm-hmm. I've never seen anything like it. To use somebody, this man ran for president a couple of times and didn't get very far. Obviously, he wanted that position. They are now using him as a placeholder for Kamala Harris, and they're going to dump him if he gets elected as faster than you can, blink your eye.
Right.
And put her in there. This, to me, these people, I don't even know what to say. I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and, he ran before and never got anywhere. She ran, too, and never got anywhere. Isn't that amazing that the two people who have been, as far as presidential aspirations, have been total failures are the ones that are running? Of course, that's par for the course in the Democratic Party. I mean, you should see all the some of the people they've had over the nights. Al Gore, John Kerry, Jimmy Carter. Now, granted, Jimmy Carter did win in 76, but Ronald Reagan, crushed him in 80.
Yeah,
So, it's just unbelievable. Well, and we'll just kind of lead right into that because, we do have the ticket established now. It's going to be Joe Biden and I don't know whether it's Kamala or however pronounce Kamala or whatever, however they pronounce it.
I don't know. I think out here in California it's Kamala.
Yeah. So they had, of course, I watched that later. I didn't watch it live, but I went back and watched their press conference when he introduced her. And as I was telling you earlier, it sounded like somebody, whoever wrote Joe's speech was writing as if it was like in the early 90s when the Clintons were trying to come in telling us all how bad everything was, using some of the same words. Kamala even used the phrase, that's not who we are as Americans. And I'm thinking, well, that was Obama's favorite phrase. But she had the biggest, let's put it this way. Kamala Harris must eat at Burger King a lot because she had the biggest whopper I've ever heard in a speech when she said that the Obama-Biden ticket saw the longest economic expansion in the history of the United States.
Yeah, wow. What planet is she living on?
I know. So I put a little review out there the other day on the PTZ, but I got to play this clip. So I know that's not true, and you know why it's not true? Because Obama and what he said himself. Take a listen to this.
For those folks who've lost their job right now because a plant went down to Mexico, that isn't going to make you feel better. And so what we have to do is to make sure that folks are trained for the jobs that are coming in now, because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
Well, I think he had an answer because until COVID came along, the economy was roaring, the jobs were coming back. It's like
yeah, and you know what? We were booming in January and February. We were doing great. And I you know what? But see, there again, the Democrat Party and all of their minions are so negative about everything. It's depress you and make you feel horrible and make you think that job that you worked at your whole life, it's never coming back. Don't look at success. You're never going to have it. You're never going to get, we got to help you because you're never going to be able to amount to anything. That's what they've done to the African American community. That's what they do to people that come across the border. that are not well educated, this is all you're ever going to be able to do. And don't try to advance because you're not going to get any better. That's what they tell these people.
Yeah.
And you can hear it in his voice. If anybody had an opportunity to make this a country a better place, it was Obama. Really.
Yeah.
He blew it. He doesn't want to make it better. He had 8 years to mend racial division, to really elevate people, to clean up the inner cities, to do everything that Donald Trump is doing. Everything that Donald Trump is doing. But he did nothing. And if the Democrats want that again, fine. Kamala Harris, she's going to give it to them. In fact, it won't even be her. She'll just be the person who's out front speaking because Joe's long gone. And she'll be speaking, but it'll be Obama, and it'll be all those people that are pulling her strings.
Right.
And people better wake up to that fact. Joe Biden is not going to have any say-so. The words that come out of his mouth are not his.
Right. And I think Bill O'Reilly, I was watching one of his clips the other day. I really miss him on Fox News, but he's got his own, I think it's on Newsmax or somewhere, but he said, perfect description of Kamala Harris. He said she is a machine politician who will read whatever is put in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
And she has no core values. I mean, if she thought that she could accomplish control over people by doing something conservative, she would do it. Or if it meant going way, way liberal, she would do it. So, yeah, you're exactly right. It would be somebody else pulling the strings or from, somewhere behind the scenes.
Of course. And we all know it. Kamala Harris, she was the first one who had to drop out of the presidential primaries.
Right.
Because she couldn't raise any money. Nobody trusted her. Nobody liked her. Why all of a sudden do they think that they can just go in there and rebrand her and they think people are that stupid? They didn't want her in the first place. Why would they want her now?
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned that. I got to play this clip because this is the moment Kamala Harris was taken out of the Democratic primary by Tulsi Gabbard.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. That would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who are on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Wow.
Now you know why Tulsi Gabbard isn't at the Democrat convention.
Well, if she was the one running, that was the only person in the Democratic primary that I thought that could really give Trump a run for his money. And of course, she never saw the light of day. Although she did win more delegates than Kamala Harris, so I'll give her that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I thought the same thing. I thought, I don't agree with everything she says, but
Yeah.
something. I mean, she brought up some really, really good points. I don't think Tulsi's a puppet. I really don't. And I don't think she would have allowed herself to be a puppet. And they knew that. They need people that they can just absolutely manipulate. Look at who these people are. I mean, look what the Obama administration did to Donald Trump before he even stepped foot in the Oval Office. This is who they are. And I mean, it's like dealing with the mafia.
Yep. Well, the latest polls are showing it tightening. Of course, we're going through the same thing. I feel like it's deja vu all over again. In the summer of 2016, it was all going to be Hillary Clinton, landslide. Hillary Clinton was running away with this. And then, of course, after the Access Hollywood tape, I remember, was it Jake Tapper said, it's over. This race is over. And they're doing the same thing again. I mean, they've still got Biden up. The Real Clear Politics average has him up by 8. But, I mean, they include just about any and every poll that could be out there. But I did see where in a lot of the battleground states, it's very close to being even right now, which probably means that Trump is actually ahead some. But I don't know, how do they expect to win a place like Pennsylvania when they keep talking about going green because of the climate change? That's going to put all the miners and other people out of work. And you also see some of the unions are starting to move away from the Democrats towards the Republicans. I know Trump got I forget, it was a police outfit in New York that gave a union that gave him an endorsement last weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the Border Patrol just did too.
Wow.
Recently. So yeah, you're right. You know how they would win Pennsylvania? The only way they can win Pennsylvania is dead voters and stuffing Republican mail-in ballots in the garbage. That's how they would win it. That's why it's so absolutely essential that we keep fighting this mail-in voting thing. That's another thing that they're doing to people, keeping people so afraid of COVID and violence and everything else that they don't want to leave their house. They'd much rather mail their ballots in. I mean, this is just such manipulation. It's unbelievable. But I heard, that Trump was dead even now in Minnesota.
Yes.
Biden, which is a big surprise because that's really considered a Democrat state. So I think there are so many voters out there even Democrats who are not going to say that they're going to vote for Donald Trump. They're just not going to say it because why should they fear that they might lose their job or somebody might catch it on their iPhone and then turn them in somewhere? I mean, who's going to do that? You're not going to give that information to some pollster that you don't know because that could be somebody calling from your work, fishing for information. I mean, I'm sure there's just so many people. And the reason is, if you look at all of these things, just random things that I see where people are on their boats and they're having a huge parade of boats on the water and they've got Trump flags and it goes on for miles. And then you have people who show up lining the streets when he comes into town, and Biden gets, 3 or 4 people who tune into his webcast?
The other thing that I don't understand that people can't see, because they probably don't remember some of his comments, Biden has a history of racism, and Kamala Harris even went after him in one of the debates about his stance on busing back in the late 60s and early 70s. And of course, even recently he says, if you're trying to decide whether you're going to vote for me or you're going to vote for Trump, you ain't black.
Oh God. Oh my God.
So he once called Obama, said it's great that we have a clean, articulate black person running for president. I'm sure Jesse Jackson really liked that.
See, I don't. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what. I think that I would love to be a fly on the wall in one of these situations where they're sitting down trying to strategize what the heck they're going to do.
Yeah.
Because I bet you they're sweating it out and just going, what are we? What? Okay, let's get another disease, or we got to defer. Now they're doing the post office that Donald Trump is stealing mailboxes off the sides of the streets, so you can't vote. I mean, they are grasping at anything they possibly can. I don't even know what's next. Maybe aliens will land or something. I don't know. But it's gotten to the point where I just bet you they are in crisis mode. You can tell just by some of the things that they say in the convention. I've heard sound bites, and every single thing is just this pounding against Donald Trump and this hatred and how bad he is and how horrible he is and how he's ruined everything. And yet the American people are going, what? Wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They do. They live in their own bubble. I think it's going to explode on them.
Maybe the aliens are already here.
Maybe they are. Maybe that wasn't really any of those people at the convention, and they were all just, robots.
It's like the
I don't know. Or maybe that's what they're waiting for. They're creating a robot to go up on stage against Donald Trump, and that'll be Joe Biden.
Yeah.
John, I've been in too many Twilight Zone episodes. I'm going crazy.
That's all right.